And hello. So welcome to the first session in the series of health professions Canvas trainings. We are focusing today on the pharmacy course that I have as a sample, but this session is also open to anybody else who wants to join. So I've shared my screen and my name is Melissa Dagne. I think I've met pretty much everybody along the way. So good to see you guys. And if you have any questions, be sure to contact me. I've got pulled up over here and I am going to give me 1 second to make sure that I'm good to go. Okay, so basically I have the calendar pulled up. I just want to reiterate to everyone, I had sent out an email. This is going to be 6 sessions. They happen once each week, but there's multiple opportunities of where you might want to attend. So if your 12:30 session for the pharmacy focus doesn't work, all the other opportunities are open to you as well. So I've definitely kept that open. Same Zoom link for all the sessions. You can join any of them that work out for you. And then of course, they're all being recorded and placed on the YouTube channel. I will send a follow-up email after this training, giving you the links and making sure everyone's connected to the materials. So here's the calendar I'd sent out. I will make sure that you have access to that again after this training. The other document I'm going to jump over to is basically a checklist of what we're going to talk about today. I'd like to give everybody a high level view of what we're going for so that you are able to plan ahead and think about some of the questions that you might bring to the table and want to have addressed in these sessions. So across the 6 weeks, I'm sure you've heard the Teaching and Learning Center has offered Canvas hours on a variety of topics. I taught one on modules and pages. Dr. Barnes taught one on assignments, and there was basically chunked out information on a particular tool or feature that you might want to use. This is going to be a little bit different. This is taking all of those different topics and putting them into context for how you go about building your course. So starting today, we're going to look at that process from the big picture and take a tour of the Canvas features. Then next week, we'd move into week 2, organizations and settings. And so how you might want to structure your course, how you might use the different methods. Maybe you want to clean up your Blackboard course. Maybe you want to start from scratch. There's going to be a variety of options. All of the unique settings that you get to control in the back end of Canvas for how your students might experience or work on your assignments. Week 3, we'll talk about editing and building content areas. So all of the communication piece for announcements, pages, really just how you embed video and how you do links and maybe, the ways that you might handle your course files. Week 4, we'll go into graded assignments, which includes anything in Canvas that you can give a grade, discussions, assignments, and quizzes. Week 5 is all about modules and creating the structure. So in the first 4 weeks, hopefully you're collecting all of the things that you want to have included. And then at that last week 5, we kind of figure out ways that we might want to organize it and give students a pathway on how they're going to move through our course. The last one, week 6, is all about finalizing. So there's the student view tool that you can use to check to make sure stuff works. There's the link validation tool, and it'll tell you if you've got aspects that are broken and and then I'll be reviewing ways that you would go about fixing those details. And then talking about the publish process, because of course, if you don't publish your course, students will never see it. So that's really important. So basically, I've made this checklist for this week, and I'll give you access to that. I'm going to put that in the chat. Maybe. Let's see if I can give it to you. Just in case. Well, you know, I buried it in a bunch of stuff. So instead of taking time for that, I will definitely get it to you after the fact. For the next sessions though, I'll have it done a little bit ahead of time, send it to you ahead of time so you can kind of be thinking about it and taking a look at it. So the first thing I want to talk about is that it can be really helpful to think about this process and keeping up with each piece, because the more you can have accomplished before the semester starts, the easier it is on you to teach during the session or during the term. And the mindset is really about unlearning Blackboard. Canvas is pretty intuitive. It's not going to be a lot of complex conversations on how to use it, but more about how you plan to use it, because we all have unique needs and the ways we want to teach our subject matter. There is a little bit of homework after each one of these sessions. So, you know, if you decide to do it later, maybe you just want to go back and practice enough just in case you have questions you want to bring back and ask. But after this session, I want everyone to be able to think about what approach they want to take on how they're going to build their course moving forward. So I'm going to move this information and I'm going to pull up Blackboard and Canvas and start some demonstration for you guys. So you're going to get to Canvas through Cardinal Apps the exact same way you did Blackboard. You know, you go to Cardinal Apps and there's a card and it's pretty straightforward. So I've got Blackboard open on the left. I've got Canvas open on the right. And I also have the chat open. So if anybody has any questions, if you post them there, I'm following along, but feel free to interrupt me. It's a small group, definitely casual, and I'm happy to have a conversation if you have questions along the way. So I have put together a little legwork to put some examples of the options that we're talking about. So in my Canvas dashboard, I've got lots of tiles, and some of them are published, some of them are unpublished. But something to keep in mind, and I'm going to show you, is that all of your courses are actually in a different spot. So I'm on the dashboard, but if I go one icon below, I can open up all of my courses. And the dashboard is controlled by your star that's on the left-hand side. If you don't want to see a tile anymore because maybe it's just not a course you are worried about or want to look at very often, so you want to hide that and clean up the clutter, you just click the star and take it away. And when you go back to the dashboard, you'll see that change. And just a little tip there, it can be a little finicky sometimes, and you can do this process and it not catch. And if you do it again, then it's okay. So I'm basically in a ton of different courses, and some of them are hidden from my dashboard, some of them are not. I'm going to come back over here. I put together 3 samples for this training. So you're either going to want to clean up your Blackboard course. So I have this demonstration for Dr. Bellinger was kind enough to let me borrow her course as our sample. And then I've got it moved, copied this over into Canvas. So it's an exact mess of how it comes in because it's not pretty. And everyone will get access to their summer 2020 courses from Blackboard. Happened a couple weeks ago. You're coming up on fall next. Those will be in Canvas soon. And then spring 2020 will also be in. So just as a reminder, I sent out some information on it, but if there's courses outside of 2020 that you need, be sure to go to the Canvas website, and I'll put that in the chat now. Let me just pull that up. So UIW has a whole Canvas page, and that link is in the chat. And this is where you're going to find answers to questions, the schedule for migration. So right here, what courses are being migrated. If you've got something outside of 2020, you can move that over. Now, there are conversations going on right now. We're working towards the health professions having access for students for their prior courses that were in Blackboard to be able to study for their boards. I have reached out to the associate deans to ask, let's get that list going. And that's a whole separate plan. So I definitely want everyone to think about that in two different ways, because the one you're requesting is the one you're going to work on and change and mess with. And the other one is going to be, you know, more of the archive. You can't change it. Students need to see exactly what they did in that course. So we're going to handle those in two different ways. Okay, so that's the first one, if you're going to clean up your Blackboard course. Now, if you're not, you're either going to want to have a Sandbox, and again, the Canvas webpage, you come over and you find out how to request a Sandbox. There's a link to go ahead and send a delegate an email. She'll set you up if you don't already have one. And it will look just like this one on the right, completely empty. There will be nothing. You can make anything you want, start from scratch, and then all of the pieces or the entire thing can be copied from course to course. So feel free to be comfortable working in multiple spaces. It's a very easy process to move things around, and there's several different ways. And then the other is going to be, maybe you're just ready to get started. You want to be in that academic space, that banner created, that your students are enrolled in, and you're just going to work right in that space. It's going to have a blueprint shell. Every UIW course has come with some information already in it to get you started. It's formatted so that you can come in and you can edit and you can change the wording, you can change the information, you can change the videos, but it basically gives you something to start with that's based on quality matters, and really it promotes consistency across the university for the student experience. So we're trying to make sure we're aiming for high quality, and this is going to have some pieces in that. So I'm going to give you a tour. If you don't have any questions about the three different aspects that we're talking about, we'll just jump right into a quick tour of the blueprint components so that you have a feel for what's going on.
Melissa, is there a limit to the number of windows you can have open of Canvas?
Absolutely not. So, I mean, all within your own workflow. I am really big on opening new tabs and not clicking around and waiting for my pages to reload. So one of the things you're going to see in this process is I'm going to show you how to focus on getting one area done, right? So we're going to, instead of saying, do all of the things you would do for module 1, and then the next time we'll move on to module 2, I break that process down a little bit differently, and I'm going to say, let's build the framework for every assignment that you have. And you're going to just knock out assignment after assignment after assignment. And you can do that simultaneously in different tabs at the same time. You just can't have the same exact piece of Canvas open in two different places, because then you're overwriting your work on yourself. Okay, that's a great question. Any others?
I have a quick question. This is Lila. So if we start with the Sandbox, there's some standard statements published by UIW, I think, like disability statements and so forth. Will they be included then automatically, or is that something we would have to include if we start with that generic one?
So for the summer session, the answer is not as solid as fall, because we're still working on some things. So I don't know exactly how to tell you what we'll be expecting, because it's being built by someone else right now, but I can explain the general idea. So you see this global navigation black bar on the left side. There are going to be 2 additional icons below help. One of them is going to be resources, and one of them is going to be libraries. And so when I click the help option, it pops out this, little slide, has some information on it. Same concept is supposed to happen for resources, and there will be the policies links and just that stuff that everybody needs access to in every course. And then the same for libraries, that one will slide open, and they'll be able to have their LibGuide links or the different libraries. So it's in development, and I'm not really exactly entirely sure what it's supposed to look like, but I got the idea of it and I'm just waiting for the final results. So definitely going to have some things already handled for you. For now, you've got policies, guidelines, and accommodations. This link right here, that is in the course navigation for all the courses automatically, as well as my course eval. So there are some things that are just going to be there for you. Now, if you go into your Blackboard copy, that's going to show you all of the stuff that used to happen over in Blackboard. So I'm scrolling down to show you all of those policies and student resources that were in there. They are in your Blackboard copy. So if there was something you really liked, you can go and you can copy that out. And yeah, we'll cover that in depth, but it's pretty simple. So let's just say, for example, I really wanted academic advising. I liked this information. I can come in here and say copy to, and I can find my actual course that I'm working in and just send it right over there. So it's got a really friendly way to move your stuff around. Okay, great questions. Anybody else? Okay, so
Can you do a bulk copy? Sorry. I mean, I know I was just thinking about labs and sections, but yeah, can I do a bulk copy to like several courses at the same time?
Absolutely. Well, okay. So no, I do not know of a way to do that, but there's also some other stuff you've got to consider. So if you're teaching multiple labs, is there any way that you would be interested in cross-listing those labs? So you're managing one course with different sections of students. If it's all the same content, that's probably a better way to go about it. And then basically you're working in one course and you do everything once, but all the students see it. And then you gain the functionality in all of your assignment areas where you can tell certain pieces of people to do it. You can assign it to one student or one section of students or the whole class. So there's some options for sure. All right, so the blueprint shell, when you sign in, I'm going to make this a little bit larger. I'm sure everybody could benefit from seeing it a little bit better, but when you first get into your academic space, that came in for summer from Banner, and Dr. Bellinger and I were talking about this before everybody joined. Banner is going to handle your enrollments for students and for instructors and for any TAs that are entered in Banner. So everyone official is going to be handled officially, just like it happens in Blackboard. However, instead of contacting IT to add other people, which is what you would have done in Blackboard, you can come to the People tab and you can handle this yourself. So in this People space, this is where you add groups and you put your students in groups, and it's also where you can add people. Very simple process. You just paste their email address right here. If you've got multiple people, you can separate them by a comma and give them all whichever role that you would like to give. So this is important to consider. Maybe you're not familiar with the roles. Everyone has been added to the Canvas overview and resources course that we've got information for this type of stuff. In this course, there's 12 topics, and Banner and enrollments is a really good one because Canvas documentation doesn't understand how our school handles policies like this. So I've put this one together that has that custom information. So for example, adding a colleague, the colleague role is not a Canvas thing. It's custom for our school. We made that to give people a way to collaborate and add other colleagues. The affiliate role, again, that's another custom. If you've got students in your courses who have somebody who does transcription services, that would be an affiliate. They would have access to your class and they would get an affiliate role, and you're just able to add them. So definitely want to pay attention to this course for certain things that maybe the Canvas documentation wouldn't cover. Okay, so you have the power to enroll people in your course, and that's very convenient. And then we're going to go back to the home page. when you go in, these courses were made available a couple weeks ago. So if you're teaching summer, your summer courses should be in Canvas. If you don't see them, make sure that you remember to look at your all courses list. They might not be on your dashboard automatically. So that's something to keep in mind. And I'm going back to where I was because I clicked on something I didn't mean to. So one sec. Okay. When you log into this, the home page is set to be this front page. It's all completely customizable. You can click the edit button and you can change anything you want, including the banner images. None of it is locked down, but it's all completely functional. So if you do like it and you do want students to read the syllabus and you want to use this link, the syllabus link here is also connected to this syllabus link in the course navigation. And if I click on that, you're going to see I have put a link to the template syllabus for the university here. You can replace this and have your syllabus showing the exact same way. And so the session that we have on building these content areas will cover exactly how to accomplish all of that. At the bottom of the course syllabus page is this feature called a course summary. Now this automatically populates for any items you have dates associated with built in your Canvas course. So you can also go to your calendar and you can manually add events. Just let's say, students have a volunteer opportunity that pops up during the term. You can add that to the calendar and it will populate by adding it over here in the actual calendar feature. It's connected in the back end and it will display in this area. So I'm going to go over to my Blackboard demonstration course to let you see how that looks with more information. So this is a fully functioning, lots of material is in this course, and you can see it just kind of goes down the page. Now, because there are no dates associated with this stuff, it's just in, order by alphabet. It's not as useful. So definitely want to have dates, puts things in order differently for the students and just keeps them on track. And then this also will populate information in the students coming up section on their homepage. So all of this stuff happens automatically for you, and you're just building out the parts of your course and it will take care of it.
Are those dates the date you posted it or the date that you made it available? What's the date?
It's the due date for what you're asking them to do. So there's two types of dates. There's due dates for things that you're having them do it by then. And then there's to-dos. Pages can have a to-do date attached to it. It doesn't mean they have to finish by that time. Nothing happens, but it does trigger it to be put on the calendar. So let's say you've got pre-work that you want them to have done before they show up to lab. You go to a page, you build out the explanation, you have your videos, you have your PowerPoints, you've got maybe a link to a practice quiz, maybe you want to do a pre-assessment. You build all that out, you add the to-do for the date and time before lab starts, and then that will trigger Canvas to say, hey, reminder, you've got this thing to do. It's just one more tool to help people with time management.
So Melissa, can you go back to the Blackboard site and show us how you would add a date?
Oh, absolutely. So when you're building any sort of assignment or discussion board, anything that allows a date to be added for the due date, I'm going to click on assignment 1 here, and then I'm going to click edit. And I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to have this option for a due date. And I'm going to make it due tomorrow. And I'm not going to put a time. So it's going to pick 11:59 p.m. by default. I'm going to say done. I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to come back over to the syllabus. And now you'll see I've got the date by 11:59 is when it's due. So having these details in there, even if you don't do, like, let's say you have exams, you don't give the exam on Canvas, but you can still add the due date and the time for what you're doing in real life. And it just helps students sort of see this dynamic way that, keeps them on track. Okay, so that was talking about the syllabus. The next part is announcements. So your blueprint will come with a sample announcement. And if you click on it, it basically just has a sample of how you might put a welcome announcement to greet your students. If you want to learn more, there's links through all of this stuff that sort of sends you out to get a better idea. I've got some examples and discussions as well. All of this, again, edit and change whatever you don't want. You can also hide it and replace it with the things that you actually want to use. So in here, this is where you can delay posting. When you decide so classes start May 10th, let's say that you want students to have access to your course on May 7th because you want them to preview the information. You're going to have control of that. You're going to be able to release the course May 7th. And then you can say, go ahead and release this welcome announcement on May 7th at 8 a.m. Tells students, hi, Canvas is now open. Please come and take a look at what we're going to be doing for Monday. All of that's able to be controlled. And I'm going to cancel that and go back out. And the next part is going to be modules. So modules are the structure of Canvas. They basically give another layer to the course menu that without it, it's very difficult for students to get around. They function very differently from Blackboard. Blackboard, you most likely used folders and you put information in the folder and that's how they jumped around. The Canvas options, it's just much more dynamic and it's really convenient. Helps students just find exactly what they need to be doing, and it connects everything with next and previous buttons. So once I click on the first item in this module, down at the bottom, it's just like a book. I can turn the page and I can go to the next thing. And this is actually the second item, and it just goes so forth and so on throughout your entire course. So I do like to say, just one thing, if you liked to invert your folders and you had module 1 in Blackboard at the bottom and then 2, 3, 4 up the page, that process does not transfer well to Canvas, and I do not recommend it because then it's like reading the book backwards. So your blueprint will come with all of this information already populated for you and waiting for you to customize it. Let's say you do not have school and department policies that you want to share, so you don't plan to use this. You can easily just uncheck it. Students will never see it. Let's say you really just like to keep a clean house and you just don't want it anymore. You can come over here and you can say remove, but that does not delete it. It only takes it out of the module and removes it. It leaves it as a page over here in your pages area. So if you really want to truly delete it forever, then you have to go to your pages, or you can, I'm going to open this page. You can come up here and you can say delete. I like to say hide it from yourself first. Make sure you really don't want it before you delete it because it is difficult to get things back. Sometimes if the stars align, the backup process has captured what you want, but there's a lot of gap time in between the backup process and when you might be working. That is just a black hole and you will lose it forever. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here to modules. I'm just going to kind of go down this list for you real quick. You've got the description and overview, school department policies, the about your instructor page. Again, it's just placeholder text talking about, how you might decide to introduce yourself. Definitely how students can contact you. The next section is an introduce yourself discussion board. If you're teaching online or if for whatever reason that first week of class you won't see each other face to face, So, students can come in here. I've also included a link to 108 prompts to inspire writing and discussion. I recently was in a book club and we talked about this, and that was everybody liked that link. So it's in this course, well, in the blueprint, and you guys can definitely check that out if you have time and are so interested. So I'm going to click next and keep going. Basically, it's a question and answer cafe. Students sometimes just have general questions that are best asked in front of everyone so that everyone gets the same answer. I will tell you, in the Canvas overview and resources course, I'll hop over here and show you, I use the announcements as a way to let people know any tips or tricks that I find using Canvas. So if you guys email me a question, I usually flag the email, because if I answer it for one person, somebody else also has that question. And if it's got a good answer and I think it might be useful, I'll pop over into my announcements. I'll post it here. Well, that's a lot of work. I mean, I'm here and that's my job, but students and y'all have other jobs. And the best way to do it is just tell them, go straight to the discussion board, ask your question there, and then everyone can read the answer in one spot. And then the beauty of discussion boards also after that is, at the end of the semester, moving into the next semester, you might already have the content to create an FAQ. And that just sort of builds on itself every year. Okay, so the next option we have here is basic success tips in Netiquette. This is really pretty straightforward. Doesn't hurt to remind everyone. Again, you might have more you want to add. You might have, particular health professions stuff. Maybe you want to talk about dress code and when you're supposed to be wearing clothes that are more appropriate, or, for lab versus, when you're going to take a test. I'm not sure. But the next part, this is a plagiarism submission. So I'm not real sure how useful this is for the health professions. I'm not sure how many papers we are really writing over here in our schools, but possibly we put this together because students can come over here and they can upload a paper and they can get a check on that plagiarism status through Turnitin by themselves without actually going through turning in the assignment first. So I think it might have a lot of use with the Broadway campus, but again, if you're having students write papers, then this might be useful. And it just gives them unlimited attempts and they can do it over and over. The last page here, probably one of the most important. It's the how to get help and technical support. So not only do we have, we try to clarify when to contact the instructor, because you don't want them to call you when they actually have Canvas help that they need. We do have 24/7 Canvas support. When you click the question mark, the first thing that pops up is the phone number for everyone. When you contact Canvas support, they will ask you what the URL, the web address that you are working on, and they can look at what you're doing. They can walk you through the feature or if you get stuck, and the same applies for your students. So 24/7, if they're doing their homework in the middle of the night, they do not need to call you and they can call Canvas. The second option there being chat. There's a faculty chat and a student chat. I will tell you, it's helpful. They will help you. But the people who answer the chat are usually the new people. So if you have something a little harder or more complex that you're trying to accomplish, calling on the phone can get you a more seasoned representative. Okay, so then we've got, our UIW IT and help desk services. I know that we've got some changes coming up with how our help desk is set up, and they're looking to add more knowledge base and self-help style tools. So this might be something that changes as we move into fall. The technical requirements, talking about, just sort of how you need to know how to use a computer and the basics. and then some more information. One thing, I had a question this morning about quizzes and taking quizzes in Canvas. If you use the quiz feature, reminding your students that using a browser that's more compatible than maybe Safari. Safari has a lot of snags, and also having an Ethernet connection for a better internet experience. Those are two things that students do not even consider necessary. We've gone ahead and covered them in the blueprint. We also have at the very bottom just some basic videos that your students might want to watch, so just the overview, it's less than 5 minutes, how to use the calendar, how to upload assignments, discussions, what they can expect with grades and that sort of stuff, just high level. They can also head over to the student guide. Canvas has just as robust student support as they do for the instructors. And so if it's a feature, it's already been really spelled out and put up on the internet for everybody to access. Okay, so clicking next is going to hop me over into a different section. So it doesn't tell you that this is a different area, but I built it so I know. I'm going to come back to the module so I can show you. We finished this area and I can now collapse it. This is just one sample of how you might consider setting up a module. You can have an introduction, you can have your learning materials and activities, you can indent whatever assignments are associated with that learning materials just as a visual way to make things a little easier to follow. And then it wraps up with a review. And so if we click on these, you can see they come pre-styled and formatted. They've got icons, they've got, just some features that you might want to use, but you're going to need to customize with your own content. On the next page, again, we've got the same sort of just showing you one way that you can build out your information. Here's a sample assignment, got more information on how to handle assignments, as well as how to add technical support for your students, just to give them that extra safety net. And then a sample quiz, and the last part being a review. So that is the entirety of what comes in the blueprint. If you come into the home page, you'll see this described, exactly what comes with it. So definitely didn't have to remember all of that, but again, you can customize however you like. Okay, so that covers, basically, we've talked about the dashboard, we've talked about global navigation, basically the blueprint, how to get around, in all of these areas. We're going to get into every feature and all the details more as we go across the weeks. I am happy to answer any questions you have.
So as you were going through, I was trying to follow along, but where exactly do I see the blueprint? Like, do I have access to it right now, or?
Are you teaching in the summer?
I'm not.
Then you do not.
Okay.
So the blueprint comes in populated in your academic course whenever you're teaching.
Okay.
So fall courses aren't out yet, and so that's why you wouldn't see one. However,
I can see my fall courses here, but I don't see a blueprint.
You see your Blackboard copy of a fall course.
Okay, that's what I see. Okay.
Yes, that is not the official. You'll get an official course once registration starts processing that stuff.
I see. Thank you.
But that's a great question, and it actually is important to cover. So if you have a Sandbox and you want to get the blueprint so you can start messing with it, you can totally do that. So in my Sandbox here that I'm showing you guys, I am actually going to say import from Commons, this button right over here. And the Commons is a really neat feature in Canvas that they really promote collaboration and sharing of information. So if you build something that's really neat and you want to share it with the world, you can send it to the Commons and everybody else can get access to it. So when I built the blueprint, I came over to Commons and I shared it. And so you can go over to the Commons and you can search for the UIW Summer 2021 Blueprint. And because it is accessible to everybody in UIW and you're part of UIW, if you search for it, it will pop up for you. And all you have to do is select the title. And then over here, you say, I want to import download, and it will pull it into your course. So I'm going to do that right now, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. I'm going to say,
Some people miss the Sandbox chat.
Uh-oh.
So could you tell them what that is? And
absolutely, that's great. Thank you for letting me know. So I put in the chat a link to the Canvas page for UIW, and under instructor resources, there is an option to request a Sandbox course. It will be completely empty and you'll have access to be able to play with all the Canvas features and practice whatever you would like. You can also build components or an entire course and then copy out pieces or all of that you have worked on. So what I did was I came into a Sandbox that I have, and then I went to the Commons, and now I'm looking for this one called my FSOP demo course faculty Sandbox. I selected it, and then I'm going to say import into course. And it gives me a green, yay, I did it right. It's successfully working. And then when I come back over here, I am going to give it a minute. It might take a minute. It's thinking about it. It's processing. And now I have everything that we just looked at in the blueprint course. We were over here. I now have it in my faculty Sandbox. Now, let's say for this example, just like right now, I don't actually want that. I want to keep my Sandbox empty because I want to use it as a sample space. So I'm going to come to settings, and I am actually going to say reset the course content, and I'm going to reset all of it. And now my course is empty. I just deleted the whole thing. That's a really scary option. Be careful with it. Okay, any questions? So far, so good. I like questions. They kind of keep the ball rolling and remind me of things like, oh yeah, there's that feature. So if you have anything, please definitely let me know. I have, let's see, I'm just checking my notes to see that I didn't forget anything. So we covered communication tools somewhat. We covered the announcements. We covered the calendar somewhat and discussions, but let me show you the inbox. So on your global navigation, you've got an inbox where you can send messages based on whatever course you're teaching. So I can favorite them as well. So if you've got, like me, I have a whole long list, it's a whole lot. Maybe you might want to make it a little bit more convenient. But so let's say I want to send a message to everyone in my Sandbox. I don't have anybody in there, but if I did, it will say who I can send it to, and I can select from that. If I have students, there'll be more people listed here. I just don't have any. And then you can just type anything you want and you can send a message straight from Canvas. So you do have this as the inbox option. Right, so in one of our training courses, we got a message from someone, and so that's posted up here. And I'm going to now go back to my course. And I'd like to show you the calendar. So you kind of have to understand the dashboard is customizable. So I get to control what my dashboard looks like. I can move my tiles around in whatever order I want. I can change the color of what they look like. So let's say I want this one to be orange instead of pink. I can do that. And I'm going to put it back because I have other orange things. When I change the colors of my tiles, it's going to affect how my calendar appears. So the color I choose will show up. Takes a bit to populate. I have all my calendars turned off, I don't really have a lot of calendar entries, but here's one. So you can see the card associated was pink and my calendar text is going to be pink. So if students or faculty, if you're ever wondering why it's difficult to see the actual information on your calendar, if the color's not contrasted enough, make sure you come back and you control that on your dashboard. So you can even make it black. You have total control over that. And then that way you'd be able to see what you're looking at. Don't make them white. So I can do that. I can come in here and I can make like, I just choosing like some really light color. I can change it, but then I'm not going to be able to see what it says on the calendar and it's kind of useless. So I'm going to cancel. I don't want to do that. There's definitely some interesting stuff there. And then of course, students have control as well. So just because you've got yours organized beautifully, they don't necessarily have that. It's all up to them. Then we talked about content delivery tools. So the syllabus pages, and I'm going to go in and show you a little bit more there. We can go to our pages area down here. I'm going to click pages and you see again my front page. See, it's labeled right here at the top. This is my front page. I've set the front page to allow the home page selection to register that I can choose this page. You can only set the home page options from a select number of things. And one of them includes, if you want to choose a page, it has to be the front page. Now, the problem with that is you have to do another click to get to the whole list, but it's not that bad. All of the pages for your entire course are going to be listed down this page. So if I come over to the Blackboard sample and I come to pages, let's look how many we got. It's going to be really scary. Are you all ready? Okay, look at this. It's going to go on forever and ever. And it's going to bounce back to the top because the browser is so upset that it is this long. If you have got any amount of content in your Blackboard course, the copy into Canvas, it's going to be messy. And that's because over the last several years, you have probably copied your course. And in Blackboard, that put a copy and then another copy and then another copy. And it made a duplicate of everything, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5. And all of that has come into Canvas and it does not have a way to differentiate or know that you didn't want all of that mess. So it takes a little bit of cleanup. And this is why I was saying your homework after this session is to decide, do you want to clean all of that up? It's an option. And if you can absolutely do it. Or do you want to maybe go into a Sandbox or your academic course and just pull in the stuff that you want? So I'm going to go ahead and show that to you so you can have an idea of what I'm talking about. If you're here for learning for fall, then you're only going to have a Sandbox. So I'll talk to that because it's applicable to everyone. But you're basically going to go into your settings and you're going to say that you want to import some course content, and you're going to say copy a Canvas course, and then you're going to take whatever that course name is called. See, I've got demo course Blackboard copy. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to say select specific content. I'm not going to choose all because that will just make another messy copy of the exact same thing. You can copy everything if that's what you choose to do. But this getting ready for this and fall, for summer and fall, I would say you're more than likely not going to use the whole course copy process. Just kind of depends on your circumstances. I'm going to select specific and I'm going to say import. Now I'm going to pause for a second to tell you about adjusting events and due dates. The cool part of this is, let's say you taught last summer from May 11th, and I'm totally guessing, I really don't know what these dates are, but let's just say it's May 11th to June 10th, just totally going to randomly pick. So I would say in here, I would put those dates of what I did last year by clicking all the way back to last year. I would say May 11th and whatever the start time is, right? So I had a start time. And then I'm going to choose the end, which I said was June 10th. Oh, wait, all the way back in last year, wrong way. June 10th. Okay, so that's my last year's term. And then this year, that's going to change to May 10th. And it's going to change to June 9th, it looks like. Yes. So that would be the equivalent of starting and ending. When I click import, any assignments that I had due on the calendar day from last year, Wednesday of whatever date, it's going to adjust it so that it's due this year for me automatically. So then you don't have to do as much changes. The only thing that you run into a snag with is leap year. It doesn't handle leap year, and that one day off messed everything up. So keep that in mind. It's not perfect, but it does definitely get you from having all of your stuff say 2020, and it will automatically say 2021, which is a little closer, a few fewer clicks. So I'm actually going to take that off because I don't want to do that. And I'm going to say select specific content, and I'm going to say import. And then after it thinks for just a second, it's going to say that there's a button for select content, and I'm going to choose that, and it's going to open up this somewhat old-fashioned and not very friendly view. If you have a lot, like for example, 119 pages, it's going to be a little cumbersome to have to go through and find the ones you want. However, it's still a lot easier to do this than it is to have to delete 100 pages if you only really wanted 19. So you just put a check mark for what you want to keep, and then you say select the content, and it will automatically process in the back end and tell you it's done. I'm going to cancel this because I don't really want to do it at this time. And I'm going to go back to my settings in my Blackboard copy. I'm coming over here to show you something else. I'm coming to settings. If you've got a copy of a Blackboard course in Canvas right now, and you come over to settings, import course content, you're going to have some information potentially. If it came through the Canvas company, you might not. So it's not an absolute, but I copied this course from Blackboard to Canvas myself. I went into the Blackboard course. I came over and I went to open this up. I went down to export, archive the course. I said I wanted to export the package. I selected all the content so that it made me this nice zip. I downloaded it to my computer, and then I came over here and I said I wanted to import this Blackboard file. So I did this manually, and that is why I have some details, 8 issues. So if you click this, it will tell you what some of your problems are. So the importer couldn't determine the correct answer for this question. I have this a series of times. And then missing links found in a wiki page body. Missing links are pretty common. If you right click and open in a new tab, it takes you to where you've got a missing link, and you can kind of, work to figure out what you had broken there. So that's pretty convenient. This one, I'm going to right click and look at the importer couldn't find the correct answer. It's not as easy. I have no idea what question or what wrong answer it is. So really the rule of thumb, cleaning up anything that transferred over from Blackboard, if you've got an error message, you're just going to need to double check your answer choices, double check that things are, looking the way that they are supposed to look. Okay, so that covers content delivery tools. Our assessment tools for assignments, activities, quizzes, rubrics, all that good stuff, we will talk about more. I will say, if you are a rubrics user, rubrics do not copy over properly, so you'll want to take a good close look at those. The reports show that if you've got a rubric with rows and columns in Blackboard, it will reverse them and have the wrong information in Canvas. So be very careful and take a look at that. And you just click the rubrics link and you'll see tons of whatever tried to come over. And then you can just take a look at, did it work properly or not? And we can all, if you use rubrics, talk together about how it's really annoying that they don't line up the boxes. Okay, the last piece that we will, think about is that there are other external options and apps in settings. You've basically got different tabs that you can control different features. If you scroll to the bottom and click more options, you get some more stuff that pops up. So you're definitely going to want to explore, take a look around, think about this. Everyone has different opinions about how they want their course to run, so you definitely have control on making that happen. We will talk about all of this in more detail as we're working through. We, basically you've got, this is where you would control your open and close dates. I don't have any of that set up because it's not a real course, but we will definitely talk about that within the environment of an actual course. And that's about it. I mean, you've pretty much gotten the tour, gotten some ideas, seen that there's going to be a variety of ways. There really is 2 or 3 ways to do just about everything in Canvas. It's if you want to copy something you're working on right then and there, oftentimes if it's an assignment or a module or a quiz, you can do that. Definitely want to give you the heads up when you're working with anything graded in Canvas. One of the big things that's different between Blackboard and Canvas is that you don't build a grade book at all in any shape or form. You build an assignments page. And this assignments page makes your gradebook for you automatically. And that is something that is definitely a little bit different. Want to remind everybody just so that you're keeping that in mind. It won't be the same way that it used to be.
That caused me a trouble in the APC lab that I'm doing on Canvas, because I thought I had set it up to grade and it didn't. So I don't know how to fix it afterwards.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm definitely can take a look at it with you. So you've got some options. So let's look at it from this perspective. So this sample assignment, if I click on it and I click edit, how I enter this information right here is going to matter. So if you've got maybe a check mark by anything that says do not count it, it won't put it in the grade book. So that's important to think about. If it's in the wrong group, it would average your grades differently. So like everything you put in one group will average those grades together. Yeah, I mean, how you set, if you put it complete or incomplete, that's all a factor. So that's the first layer, making sure whatever you're wanting to grade is set up to do what you want it to do. I'm going to cancel this and go back to where we were on the assignments page. So this particular assignment section, I have, this one's worth 100 points. I have a quiz section. This one's worth 3 points. And I've got this academic honesty tool, and it's not actually counted for a grade. And I'll show you if I go in here and I click edit. I say do not count this assignment towards the final grade. So when I do that, now we're going to look at my grades area. I'm going to put this on one side and I'll put this one on the other. So we'll look at this side by side. Oh, and look, you can't really see anything good because I have never clicked my student view button. So we'll talk about this towards the end, but student view, you had the same in Blackboard. This lets you pretend to be a student and look at the course from the perspective of a student. So one of the questions I had this morning was, my students are reporting they can't post in the discussion board assignment. Well, he could look as a student and see, like, can I get to the discussion boards? Can I post on the discussion board assignment? 55 other people haven't had trouble, it's not me, it's something the student's doing. And then you'd be able to say, hey, chat with Canvas, figure out what's wrong, and do that. So definitely, now that I've done this, I'm going to leave student view and I'm going to refresh. And now I have a test student. So I can see my sample assignment, I have a column, my sample quiz, I have a column, my check my papers, I have a column, but it won't calculate because I had that check mark. So 1-to-1, absolutely. So I'll help you figure that out, but we'll do that offline. So it's 1:30. I don't want to keep you guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. I can stay.